way to go this is awesome. I gotta say, I mean, I know Amanda, we've been talking about stuff for a long time, but I was just didn't know that everyone was gonna be like rocking out and paint jamming and everything today. So that was what's such an extra special treat. And just to see all your creative processes, it was really, really enjoyable for me. Um, Thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll come back and hang soon. If you do enjoy my music, the biggest gift that you can give to me is to share it with other people that you think will enjoy it. So and to paint and listen to it and put the vibes out there. So yeah, so much coming up. We have so much new music coming out, and yeah, check out California Girls on Thursday. And yeah, thank you for having me and coming into my little cabin and into my little world here for a second. I'm
Thank
very grateful.
you. We turned on the live stream just as you were ending as a segue. This is so good.
Oh,
That was
So
amazing.
thank you for transitioning us and such to giving everyone time to just sink into your work and then like get into our bodies. We've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of talking and a lot of dreaming today, and we needed to like move that through us. So your music is
awesome.
a gift, David. Love you.
Love you guys. Have so much fun.
Woo-hoo. Choo choo.
Love all the beadwork, David. So excited to see all the
Great.
multifaceted artistry coming out. Love it.
Oh, thanks, love. Yeah, we'll have to jam soon.
Alrighty. So we're gonna do a
David, my
little
dear, can you turn
interlude.
off your screen share or your
Yeah,
audio?
and get in there.
I was talking to David. It's just still connected to his.
I'll turn off the screen share. It's not screen sharing.
His audio was on. Okay. You ready,
You're gonna
Nick?
put one of our ads.
No, just holding. Just hold. Here we
Then
are. This is what we're doing today, right now.
let me share my screen then.
Perfect.
Alrighty. So I want to do a little interlude to talk to you about the studio, which is what brought us all here.
Can you put it in present?
Oh, yeah. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, the Design Science Studio is a very, very ambitious endeavor. It's a decade long, and I'm pretty sure that once we complete the decade, we're gonna make something up to continue with it. But to start is a decade-long educational incubator for the art of the Renaissance. And we've been having all kinds of troubles to explain this because it's a lot of things together. But just to give you a brief idea, we're basically doing here and committed to do throughout the decade is to create art and to empower creators and system thinkers and all kinds of like storytellers and all the people who are able to imagine first and express then new ways of thinking and new ways of being and new ways of doing. And we're living through a very incredible time, and like we're in a time of radical systems change. And we believe that, like, you know, the pandemic has just been like the latest consequence of like just doing things throughout the entire last century in ways that weren't the most I'm going to say sustainable, but like enriching, that they weren't fostering what Bucky Fuller used to call livingry. And we've been like exploiting the planet in really mean ways and like consuming resources and just not paying a lot of attention on the ripples that each one of those actions were having. And, you know, as we progress, we've discovered that we are a living system, that everything is connected with everything, that every time that you affect something in this part of the ecosystem, it affects the entire ecosystem. And it's about time that we start realizing this and that we start taking better care. And that's the reason that the Design Science Studio came to be. It's, you know, all these things that we've been doing in the past century created a really visceral reaction. And we've been living through almost 3 decades of like dystopias and black mirrors and not really finding a light into really envisioning a possible better future. And it's about time. It's about time to start creating art that fosters livingly, and art that takes into account a world that works for 100% of life. Bucky Fuller used to use this quote and said, humanity would change a bit the original quote, but we're sure he would agree with it. We really want to we do have the tools. We do have the tools and the imagination and the resources to make the world work for everybody, and to make the not only work for everybody, but also work for the world itself. And by realizing that we're all together, we're all the crew of this spaceship Earth, that we're moving through space in, at some point we'll realize that, we need to take care of it, and it's the only one we have. And likely the solution is not to build more rockets to go to Mars and do cities in there just in case we fuck it up and we drop the bomb. Likely the solution is to start being more conscious and like get together and start thinking about solutions that doesn't separate us from each other, and that just acknowledges that we're just one. We're just one big family living in a land that didn't have borders a few years ago, and we're all coming from probably the same monkeys, and so our stories of separation are just that, are just stories. So the Design Science Studio is trying to respond to this fragile and transformational moment by articulating the possibility of a healthy planet via a decade of nonviolent, design-led, creativity-expressed revolution. And this is what I'm gonna leave you with. We're doing this by empowering cohorts of artists every year. We're about to launch our first cohort in about a month and a half. So prepare for a big launch at the end of March. It's gonna look like this, but amplified, and hopefully we'll be able to curate and empower more voices that are able to shift the culture, to shift this, bring more of these ideas and these feelings that we have that feel really good when we witnessed all these wonderful projects that are happening, and that will inspire generations to come to continue thinking with us. And Rox, you're the founder of the studio, and I'd love to for you to just say a few words of more of from the foundational perspective, like what brought you here, what motivated inside that allowed you to birth and be the creative doula of this baby that we're stewarding. And
It really came from over a decade of commitment to refusing to believe that I had to separate art, science, activism, and creativity in my life, and that I knew that I could merge disciplines, and I witnessed the power of shared experience for catalyzing social change. And I'm super inspired by David's share. Like, I also definitely am ADD, and it's a gift. It's totally a gift. And what it brought me to lean into is that I'm a polymath. Like, I want to know about all kinds of things. And so I did all the things that I could over the years, and many different forms of learning, because not all our learning is the way that we learn in schools. And I felt so passionate about getting the incredible wisdom and knowledge that lives in books inside of us to the world, and creating spaces to architect the mind and the being that helped us harmonize with nature and each other instead of separate. And I did as much of that work as I could for a long time. And with smaller communities, or I say small, but sometimes 100,000 person festivals, but still there's only so much that can do. And my study of regenerative development and design brought me to kind of hyper amplify a part of me that I had been doing already, which was kind of helping other creatives building bridges for creativity in the world. But seeing, if in this time where artists and designers and creativity is needed more than ever, and it is not currently valued as it should be, and how critical that is, and how many people who have so many important visions inside of them that need to be drawn out have to spend their time doing work that isn't really giving them the time to really dig in. And so all those things together, and my background is in sustainability, and before that, and I also got a bachelor's in fine art, and that like kind of that refusal to succumb, and knowing that there's a better way, that we have more than enough for everyone to thrive, just banded together after a year and a half of a bunch of different large scale immersive installations on the backside of One Dome and Planet Home, and a big gray area installation called End of View that was all about living systems and kind systems. Just like, how can I met up with Amanda, because we've been collaborating for like 9 years. It's like, what can we do together now in this time? And, just kind of spent probably an hour scheming on where we had been. And she was really amped about the Design Science Decade and exploring reinvigorating that. And I was exploring doing an installation about the regenerative transition that we need to go through. And so we said, hey, let's like create a container where we help artists have the resources and the education to like kind of go through a real like a full systems perspective of what this transition will take. And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, cool, all right, let's just focus on a global community, and let's see how much capacity we can build in the world so that we can tool up and support all the creators who are desperately needed for this transition, to have the resources and education and community and like cheerleading also that they need, and then like to help fund and launch their work into the world and weave it, because there's something about buoyancy that's come through. Like there's so many people doing great work, and those stories aren't being told, and there's so much power in shared experience, yet that's not where the energy is going. So by connecting, amplifying that creative capacity, then everything can happen. And so it's not like we set aside, or I even speak for myself, not like I completely set aside, like I'm a painter too, and I'm a sculptor, and I like do my own immersive installations. And it just felt like the most important thing that I could do with my life force energy was to build the capacity of a global community to be able to do the same, to hold their own megaphones and to hold hands and to build bridges. And so that's what we've been doing. And then this one, Nico banded together with me and was like, hello, I help you. And then it has weaved and morphed with you, and it's become this amazing thing. And then we get to connect with communities like the Vision Train and all the incredible people who are doing great work in the world. We have such an amazing last kind of like speaker presentation segment right now. And it's so beautiful to just feel this global community. And when Nico says we're going to launch, like we've had a cohort for 8 months, and we've been doing these showcases, prototyping, testing. It's like, okay, let's get comfortable. Let's share. Let's be the process and not the perfection, because it's more important that we're doing the work and that we're doing it together, and that we're giving ourselves this time as a community to celebrate at the same time that we are going through the most insane transition. But we can do it together, and together we'll go far. So I don't know, I'm rambling, but
thank you, Roz. That was amazing. One of the things I want to share is that we really didn't know what we were embarking on when we started this thing, and we put it out there, and we received like a handful of applications, and we ended up selecting 144, and we didn't know most of the people that we got in. And I think that the most feedback that we've received in these few months, repeatedly by everybody, is, oh, I found my family. Like I found the people that I've been looking for so long. I was like, I didn't know they were there. And suddenly like I'm surrounded by people that makes me feel, makes me get out of bed every single morning. And it's my main motivation of the week. And I think that's is the most beautiful compliment. And hopefully we'll be able to do more of this for more people, because this is what it's about. It's about creating solid, supportive communities so we can shine and do our best. Anyway, it's time to continue showing you cool things.
Thank you, Nico, for your vision. Thank you, Vision Train. Also, shout out to all the engineers on the train. Toot toot, you guys are awesome. And all the painters. Love you guys.
All right, Rox, can you bring here with me Gray, please?
Gray.
So excited.
It's time for Gray Garmon. Yes, I'm trying to.
Ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, so let me introduce Gray in the meantime while he's coming to stage. Gray is a designer and an educator and strategist that uses his creative practice to improve the world for 100% of life. I'm so glad this 100% of life thing is going along, it's spreading. He's a design professor and director of the Center for Integrated Design at the University of Texas in beautiful Austin. And he has the most amazing posters in his room, and he's gonna share with us some of his beautiful work.
And he's in Amanda and I's pod.
Yeah, I'm so lucky. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And thanks for Roxy and Nico for sort of kicking that off. I mean, you know, I've been in the DSS studio for 8 months, but it is always kind of nice to reconnect with the vision and feel grounded in that again. So, hi everyone, I'm Gray. I'm going to share my screen. I want to talk through what I've been sort of incubating, and I don't know the right word, but sort of the seed that's kind of been slowly germinating in the soil. That's the Design Science Studio, at least how it's been for me. So I put together some slides because maybe it's the teacher in me or something, but it's always nice to be able to have a couple visuals on hand. I set a timer too, so I'll try to stick to my 5 minutes. So this is the project that I've been working on. Can you all see my screen? Nico or Roxy, can I get like a thumbs up on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So I've been working on this idea that I've been calling co-designing peace. And really what I want to talk about tonight is this exploration about how design, and I'm a designer, but how I see design as a tool for improving the world around us. Let me get rid of this thing, all the pictures, great. So I actually wanted to start with some aspiration and some inspiration that really comes from Buckminster Fuller. I went to architecture school. I've always loved his work, but Nico referenced this quote earlier, but it's been really powerful and sort of a guiding light for me. So to make the world work for 100% of life in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or disadvantage of anyone. And I see this, at least in the work that I'm doing, like this is so well aligned with what I see as this sort of new understanding and hopefully new vision for what peace and global peace looks like. And in a lot of ways, I will say is kind of what Buckminster Fuller was talking about too. So why this matters to me is that I really believe that through our creative actions, we are able to move towards some new vision or idea of peace, something that's guiding or is a guiding force for our work as humanity and as society and as some of the 100% of life on this planet. So part of this has been sort of as this is kind of incubating and kind of saying sort of growing together, and I've been sort of sharing with my pod with Roxy and Amanda and everybody as well, is that I'm starting to build these design principles. So some of them that are starting to emerge is that peace is not only the counterpoint or absence of war. So much of the way that we reference peace is in reference to something else. And I want it to start to become more self-referential. That peace can still exist within conflict and non-alignment. That peace is proactive and intentional in the work that we do. That peace is to the benefit of 100% of life, like Buckminster Fuller was talking about. That, and I'd say that peace is already happening. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And that as a designer and as a creative, I see peace as a creative act, and I see peace as a collaborative endeavor of something that we all do individually and we do together and we do collectively as a planet. So, so Nico said some of this. So why this matters to me is because of partly about who I am. I mean, I'm a designer, I'm an educator, I'm a strategist. I teach at the University of Texas. I work with a lot of organizations, but at my core, I'm a designer, and I see that as maybe it's because it's the only thing I know how to do, but also I see it as this incredibly powerful human instinct to make something new in the world, that as all human beings, we have the ability to design and create. Some of us choose to use it in different ways, but that all of us can have this sort of purpose, hopefully, and vision for making the world more full of peace. So part of how this is starting to build out for me is, and a lot of the questions are usually like, so what does this mean? What do I do with this? And I'm sort of seeing it as these kind of like categories and kind of movement and flow of thinking about how we build actions and practices and behaviors that start with peace with ourselves. So, and I think this is a huge range of sort of our ability to sit with ourselves through meditation, but also in sort of through therapy and things like that, and then I think that starts to build us into this idea of peace with the community around us. So a collection of individuals that are also grappling with and building towards creative practices that create peace, which I think the Design Science Studio is an incredible representation of that, as is many things in the world. That peace with community starts building towards peace with 100% of life. So all living creatures on Earth. And then also this idea of peace with the living Earth itself. And that I sort of put them in this order because I do think there is a place to start, but I don't see it as only linear, that this is sort of more like the visible light spectrum, like we are all doing all of these things all of the time. And the connections are not so defined, they're actually much more fluid. So part of this too is that this has always been happening, right? So a couple examples of the very many are, one is the civil rights movement. And I wanted to quote Dr. Martin Luther King, that he uses some of the same language, that the human salvation lies in the hands of creatively maladjusted, which I think that a lot of the civil rights movement in 1964 actually won the Nobel Peace Prize, but it came from a place of peace. And maybe not accidentally, but also in the 1960s, was Buckminster Fuller's World Game, which was also called the World Peace Game. And reading through a lot of these old documents and the things that they put out when they did this really stuck out to me, that design science artists will leave man free to articulate the promptings of his soul in such a manner that each individual may enjoy his newly won and ever increasing degrees of exploratory and creative freedoms without trespassing on one another, and thus not frustrating one another too. So there are many other representations of this. So like, this is not new. I believe that this is core to human nature, but also with alignment, we can do more. So what I'm working on, which is also part of this exploration of what I'm talking about right now, is the first step. So by March, as Roxy and Nico were talking about, we're going to launch a lot of the work that we've been doing in the studio. And I'm just going to put together volume 1 of the Co-Designing Peace zine that collects a lot of these design principles, this history of what it's already been happening, and some of these early activities about how we engage with self, community, living 100% of life and the living earth. And then hopefully as the world sort of reopens and we regather, we're able to start building more collective experiences, maybe a la and akin to the early world games, and maybe some of building upon some of these other movements that are happening around us. So the last thing is this quote. This is where I started, and this is what I still hold on to, and I share it one more time because it's meaningful. And I think if we internalize it, it's a great place to start, which is Buckminster Fuller said, "To make the world work for 100% of life in the shortest time possible through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the disadvantage of anyone." So that's co-designing peace for right now. So thank you. Oh, let me stop this. Thank you so much for having me.
That was amazing. You know what? That you also reminded me of another quote from Bucky that I love, and he says that if the destiny of the world depended on how I think and what I do, how would I think? What would I do? And I think it's just something to internalize a bit of like these same very similar to that quote. It's like what is it that I can do to change this and to seek more peace?
It's so beautiful. And a big part of this too is wanting to engage more of the design science community to contribute to the zine, and see if again, I think we're already doing this. It's already happening, but starting to maybe build some movement around it too. So
we have a lot of work to do, but it's really inspiring. And I think the big visions, we need to not be afraid of them. And, the work that you're doing, Gray, in simulate and bring together and create some kind of publication. And I know that we were talking about this last time, is like, well, it seems so big. Like when we were in our pod last week, it's such a huge vision. How can we really, translate it and not contain it, but, give it a form, that others can connect with. And I think that, by continuing to ask that question and not give up, it reveals itself. And this is a part of this making the invisible visible. And so much of it has to do with the commitment and continuing to show up. And I'm really excited to continue to figure out how this piece, this vision of peace can be brought.
Yeah, me too. I know I think about it a lot as I say it's lifetime work. Like, as a designer, I'm used to like client schedules and getting things done, or the semester school or something. But for me, this is lifetime work. So I'm very excited. It starts here on the vision train and the peace train.
Yeah, and it's been so incredible to see how your project has evolved and grown, and taking it from, deciding on Monday, the Zine is maybe the first, and now you have declared today to the world.
This is the prototype.
You're witnessing.
The handwritten copy is getting made, so it'll only get better from here.
You're an amazing designer. I can't wait to know more about the school that you teach at too. I think like a Center for Integrated Design in Texas has got to be pretty like interesting.
Yeah.
Because Texas, but also Texas is cool, I've heard at the same time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Austin's a little oasis, so we're definitely building from the inside out. Yeah.
You guys are getting a lot of people going your way. You gotta build the infrastructure so they have places to think that.
If the people there are anything like you, then I can only imagine everyone would want to flock there. Because you are beautiful, and thank you for what you stand for, Gray, and for coming to share it today.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. So glad to be a part of this.
You are too.
You're muted, Rox.
Next up, we have one of my best friends, Walker Fischer, who is an incredible dancer, artist, musician, writer, just poet, and very multifaceted and amazing human, who I met dancing actually also. But is a Bay Area native and creative. He integrates multiple artistic mediums to enchant the world with love. He currently dances for the Golden State Warriors dance team and teaches classes and workshops in hip hop and contemporary in the Bay Area. His mission in life is to be a force of empathy for collective growth. Join him in a flow state through space and time to discover your expressive powers. I'm going to screen share a beautiful video that he made just for all of you for today for Invisible Visible. And it was sent to me at 6 a.m. when it was completed. So I hope you enjoy. That was amazing. Woohoo! Incredible. We have the coolest friends, guys. We have the coolest friends. So powerful. All right. Well, next up we have
Loren. Is Loren here?
yes, Nico. Will you intro Loren? I'll leave this up in the meantime.
Yeah. Awesome. So Loren Cardeli is the founder and president of a Growing Culture, an organization that promotes ecological agriculture across the globe. And in creating a growing culture, Loren has embarked on a journey to shift the public's perception of agrarians from one of passive beneficiaries to one of active innovators. Loren believes the key to fixing our food systems lays in giving farmers a prominent seat at the table, a seat that is currently threatened by industrialization of agriculture. These couldn't fall closer to home. Food is one of my biggest passions, and I do believe, as Charles Michel said previously here, that it is the glue that gets us all together. It is the main connection that we have with nature every day. Like it's even when you don't go out there and walk in nature for 5 minutes. Every day you eat, and that's your direct connection with nature. And sustainable agriculture and practices around food systems are absolutely necessary. We need to retransform what we're doing. So Loren, thank you for the work that you do, and looking forward to hear more.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me into this space. It's incredible to watch this mosaic of just innovation and creativity. My name is Loren Cardeli. I am the founder of A Growing Culture, and we work with peasant farmers around the world to reshape our food system and really kind of have a unique role. I'm trying to make this full screen here.
Press play.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. I'm a little bit of a boomer on these things. All right. So, today I've been thinking about it all day, what invisibility means. I've been thinking about who defines what is visible and what isn't. I was thinking about it as a verb, as a noun, trying to understand the full complexity of the term. Of course, that famous Ralph Ellison quote came up in my mind, which is, "I am invisible, understand simply because you refuse to see me." And who are we refusing to see, and why are we refusing to see them? The act of refusing to see folks sometimes illuminates so much about ourselves, which is what kind of protective barriers that we put up to kind of create these mental calluses to protect ourselves from what that revelation would mean, our role in our society, right? And we talk about agriculture. Some of us talk about as this individual pursuit of beauty. I'm able to garden, to grow my own food. We talk about agriculture as this romanticization of something from the past, right? It was used to be so wonderful, but now it's co-opted by industrialization. Yet, let's understand something about agriculture. The very first seeds sown at the Neolithic Revolution were not seeds of wheat. They were seeds of patriarchy and injustice. They were seeds of racism. They were seeds of hierarchy. Today, we look around and we see the fruits of those seeds in the prison industrial complex, in neocolonialism, in the World Bank, in intellectual property rights. We see it when we have a world today where over half the world's hungry are involved in agriculture. Whether you're in India or the United States, an overwhelming majority, a population that is at one of the highest levels of suicide are farmers. What does that mean, right? Like what does this look like? We close our eyes and we think of the farmer, or Even worse, the regenerative farmer. What do we see? Do we see a white man in overalls? Do we see a pitchfork? Right? Do we see a hoe? Do we see a tractor? Or do we see a smallholder farmer or an indigenous pastoralist or a hunter-gatherer? These are the questions that we must ask. And then we must search, why do we see that? Because what does it mean to us today? The peasant food web is about 2.4 billion people around the world, right? They are the culture of agriculture. When agriculture became agribusiness, we didn't lose the focus on the environment. We lost the focus on culture. And what does this mean? So with this population, 2.4 billion, almost 40% of the world's population, right? They control less than a fifth of the world's agricultural land, 19%. But yet on that, they produce 70% of global food consumed. So when we talk about regenerative and we're looking at these large tracts and these tractors and how we must turn them regenerative, what are we doing? What kind of dynamic are we playing into with the fallacy of who grows our food? They protect 95% of agricultural biodiversity. This is farmers on less than 5 hectares. 60% of rural jobs, right? Let's sum this up. Smallholder farmers produce 70% of the world's food on 19% of agricultural land. Why are they invisible? Why do people not see them? Why do we have documentaries where they're not included? Why on panel discussions are they not present? For some reason, when we talk about agriculture, this population does not need to be invited. That's because we refuse to see them. And we refuse to see them. We refuse to see them because through seeing them, we'll understand that everything we have ever purchased, everything we have ever consumed, was subsidized by the exploitation of them. And that's when our food becomes bitter. That's when our possessions become painful memories. And that's when our privilege becomes guilt. Where are these people? This is the biodiversity hotspots of the world, right? Look at this for 1 second. Look at these hotspots, right? Now, this is the linguistic diversity around the world. This is the best factor of cultural diversity, right? How many languages are being spoken, right? It's the same map. At that intersection is peasant movements producing the world's food, safeguarding biodiversity. But guess what we've created? We've created a system where climate change vulnerability is in the exact same places. We've created a system where land grabbing, the corporate theft of this land, often with green labeling and green washing. Often these projects are held as positive for others, development or sustainable development, right? Why is this? Because when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. We exist within that. So we talk about our food system as if it was broken. Our food system isn't broken, we are. And understanding this, seeing those peasant farmers is holding up a mirror to our own privilege. And sometimes it's easier to see the elephant in the savannah than the elephant in the room. So we have to name it for what it is: injustice. When somebody tells me the foundation of our food system is soil carbon, I don't understand what they're talking about. Do they not understand the history of slavery, of colonialism, right? Do they not understand that the very first walls around Mesopotamia and Wangzi were not designed to keep outsiders out, but to keep peasants in? What did that look like? You look at this picture right here of life in Mesopotamia from the very beginning. What we tend to romanticize as early agriculture. And what do we see? We see classism everywhere. We see patriarchy everywhere. We see hierarchy everywhere. And what does it look like today? It looks like for every dollar of aid Africa receives, $24 is taken out. It looks like the greatest question of them all, who is subsidizing who? And that's why we never paid the price for these clothes, for our computers. And sometimes seeing tells that story. Recognizing, valuing. But what are these folk doing in the face of this unimaginable adversity? Climate change, social and gender discrimination, unfair markets. What are they doing? They give birth to this unbridled ingenuity. We use this clip to show a different story. I'm from New York. If somebody left this guitar on the street, nobody would pick it up. They would walk by it. How many strings does it have? Have anybody ever seen or heard anybody play the guitar that way? That was an innovation from somewhere far away. But that resiliency, that ingenuity, that creativity that was fostered, right? We talk about design labs and all this happening. The greatest innovation is low tech. The greatest innovation is offline. This is happening. We're all better for it. That was beautiful. Farmers and peasants and indigenous are doing this every day. And we shouldn't celebrate it in the way, because what we should recognizing their burden that creates those conditions. We shouldn't applaud their resilience. We should lift that weight off their back and support them. Because that is how we communicate the three most beautiful words in the English language. I see you. That's when we recognize that they aren't invisible, because we'll work to support them. Because together, let us imagine something. The bold and audacious idea of a food system that nurtures the ones who grow our food, not exploits them. Let's understand what that looks like, because we've never before had it. And that's the double-edged sword of agriculture, the ultimate tool of exploitation and oppression, or the source of healing and regeneration. But it can only be regenerative if it is mutually regenerative. And that means we have to seek allyship. We have to seek redress. We have to seek redistribution and fight for the ones we don't know. And the only way to fight for the ones we don't know is that broad declaration, I see you. And I refuse to live in a world where you are invisible. We all want to eradicate hunger, but we think of it as an isolated problem instead of the tip of an iceberg. Let's start focusing on what really is. Let's understand neoliberalism. Let's understand gender discrimination and racism. Let's understand trade policy. Let's find ways to work for these individuals who continually put food on our plate. And let's understand the metaphor of the zebra. Because this zebra is camouflage, but the African savanna is never black or white. During the rainy season, it's green, and during the dry season, it's yellow. So how can that be camouflage? It's because to the lion who's colorblind, it is. And that lesson teaches us that there's other ways of looking, other ways of knowing, other ways of seeing. And it's not just our eyes on the savannah. It's not just our eyes looking at these problems. This is a metaphor to understand that sometimes it's not only your lens, because we know it's not only our world. I don't know how much time I've got left.
I don't either. I've lost track of time just going deep with you, Loren. You're incredible. You have 5 minutes, technically.
Cool. Maybe I show a video. Is that cool?
Yeah, whatever you want. You're great.
So I just filmed this in Zambia about a month and a half ago. During COVID, there's a lot of invisible things happening. Seed policy is being pushed throughout Africa, which is making indigenous and local seeds illegal. Because for these seed companies, the four big ones that control everything, they know that they can only thrive in a market where everything is a derivative of themselves. And they know that the threat to their existence is the local and indigenous knowledge that has fed us for generations and hopefully generations to come. Let's see if this works with my Wi-Fi. I'm in Mexico and I'm gonna try here.
It's still just on the one zebra right now.
Was given to us by
You might have to, might have to reshare so that we can see the video.
That's cool. Got it.
Perfect.
This seed was given to us by God. We have sovereign right to this seed. It is a symbol of our freedom to be who we are, to grow what we want to grow, to eat what we want to eat, to share what we want to share. It's a birthright, and it is a symbol of our cultural heritage. I found my life's purpose growing this local seed and distributing it far and wide. And yes, I have been threatened, but I'm not fazed. It's something that I'm prepared to die for. No one has got the right to come and dictate to us which seed to grow, which seed to keep, which seed to share. What right do they have? Can they be above God who gave us this seed? Let me tell you one thing. Every day I get on my knees and I pray to God and I come against these multinationals that are trying to destroy our seed sovereignty. And they will not succeed. You will not succeed. At the end of the day, it is these bullies, these multinationals who benefit, not us. We are slowly killing ourselves and we are slowly killing off the environment while they go away happy with the fat bank accounts. You cannot fight God. You can intimidate us. You can bully me, but you will never succeed against God. And I will never stop growing this maize because it was given to me by God. I really get upset that a man, a person, an organization can take it upon themselves to dictate to everybody in the world how they should live their lives, what they should eat, what seed to grow. What right do you have? You've got no right. And I repeat myself, you will not succeed. It doesn't matter how many people you kill in the process, but you're not going to succeed. And my husband and I, we will not stop growing this local seed. In fact, we are looking for bigger tracts of land where we can grow this on a larger scale. You don't intimidate us. We fear only God, not man.
Since we filmed that, Petronella's husband passed away from COVID. Since we filmed that, more people are hungry than there were yesterday. Less land has been available for peasant farmers than there were when we filmed that. Less seed available for peasant farmers than when we filmed that. We talk about peace, we talk about harmony. To get there, we must make sure it's for everyone. And I invite you all to fight with us, alongside us, and alongside the people you don't know, and dedicate to a world where nobody is invisible. Thank you.
I feel like, does everyone want to unmute themselves and share your voices?
Whoa! Oh. Thank you for so much for that download. Wow.
I feel like I was just at the Church of Gaia, and thank you for preaching to us these important, passionate words.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for sharing your voices too. I'm gonna mute just for the sake of the stream, but feel free to unmute if you're speaking. And yeah, Loren, you have a power behind your voice like that comes from like the drum and the spoken word, and it really took us on a journey. But thank you for the work that you're doing and leading a growing culture. Samantha's told me, Samantha Suppiah is who obviously brought you in, who you all know, but not everyone knows, is our studio interdisciplinarian. And yeah, she's been telling me about a growing culture and how much you have been standing beside all of these generations of farmers to support them having a voice. And the way that you're not only seeing that, but and helping to shape and tell that story. I'm sure there are plenty of artists here who would love to support in helping tell that story more. I was definitely like, I like when she was like, I feel emotional. I was like, I feel emotional. Like, holy crap. And we all are so privileged that that's not the experience that most people that we generally interact with have. And so it is required that we stay vigilant and realistic and just connected to the way that the world is functioning, so that no one is invisible, so that none of this stays hidden, and so that these voices can be heard, and so that we do not stop working until it truly is just for all, and not just some, and not just people, and not just the loudest ones or the most powerful ones. And so, yeah, thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for coming and sharing with us, and delivering such an incredible message. If you had like, words of wisdom or anything like that took that care in you, that helped to evolve it into building a growing culture, that you would leave with all the different creators and humans who are here with us today, what would you share?
It's easy to get overwhelmed. I saw this message just now, so I'll center on that. It's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get burdened. Don't look at purity. Look at commitment. Commit to fight and to justice, and understand that sustainability and regeneration is a byproduct of justice, not the other way around. Center on that. Make sure everything you're looking through an equity lens, and don't get overwhelmed in your own privilege, but use it as an opportunity to fight. And please email me at Loren@agrowingculture.org. Follow us at A Growing Culture. And collaboration is the world's most renewable resource. So let's tap that shit.
Thank you, Loren.
Thank you, guys.
Would love to have you back on the train, Loren, and see how the train can also support your mission and vision and how you're speaking out and clearing the field. We started today with talking about the apocalypse, and this like unveiling, this revealing is really what came through there in such a visceral and passionate way of how you are able to translate that and share that. It was powerful. I'm like, ooh, whoa. Thank you.
Thank you. Much love.
Much love, Loren. So much love. Can't wait to collaborate more and more. All right, so does everyone want to just take like a big cleansing breath together and just unmute yourselves? Just like release all the air out of your lungs first. Hold. Deep inhale. Open mouth exhale.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. Inhale. Open mouth exhale. All right. Don't get overwhelmed. We got this. Okay, so we were just going to cut the stream right now, and I can't bring myself to do it. And so we'll do it after this next one because it feels very connected. And for anyone who's out there, you need to just get a ticket in the description of the stream that you're watching and come join us. No one will be turned away for lack of funds. There's a scholarship portal if you need to just slide in that way, but there's a whole world on the other side. So just come on in. Okay. That being said, we're gonna introduce Ángela del Sol, another Colombian sister who we met at Burning Man and befriended my mother and my whole family, and is out there doing such incredibly inspiring work as an artist and a creator and a community organizer in public spaces for healing. Ángela, thank you for being here and for reaching out yesterday.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be part of such an incredible pool of creatives. My heart is so filled with so much hope. And, I just know that things might be hard when we just hear, speeches like the one that we just heard before me. We can get really overwhelmed and lose hope. But I'm here to present to you a project that's actually bringing lots of hope and light and healing to the world. It's called Seed Evolution. And it's a project that was born out of my desire to do something to heal the world. So let me pull it up. I have it right here. And yeah, we got started last year around the election time. My friends and I were sitting in, we were having dinner, and we thought, what can we do? There's something that we can do about elections are coming up. A lot of voices are being suppressed. So how can we do something about it? This is the most important time where communities need our creativity for change. 1 second, my
Angela,
computer.
stop sharing and then reshare. It should unfreeze it.
Okay. Let me do this. Stop sharing. Interesting. It's not letting me do that. Oh, well, here it is. So our mission, can you all hear me?
Yeah, and I stopped the share, so maybe you can try again.
Yeah, let me try again. Sorry about that, everyone. This is the new world that we live in.
We've been breaking the internet all day.
So a group of friends and I, 5 filmmakers and artists, we decided to get on a 40-foot bus and go throughout all of the swing states of the United States and give the voice to those that usually don't get the microphone. During those 10 days, we went across the states, and we gave the stage to poets, to artists, to people in the streets to share with us their dreams. And I just want to play you a little recap of our tours. You get an idea of how it all began. Here. Keep it down, time's running out. Here we go. Come with me now. Stand up and shout. Let them all know. We're gonna let them all know. Not anymore. I'm keeping score. Here we go. Stop on the floor. Knock down the door. Let them all know. We're gonna let them all know. We got the power. We got the power. Get down. Let's all revolution. Stand up all together now. Get down. Voice some truth, one sound. Nobody gonna turn us down. Can't stay quiet no more. Let's break down the walls of the world. Get down. Let's all revolution. Stand up all together now. Get down. Let's make a scene, make history. Here we go. Up on your feet, rise up and scream. Let them all know. We're gonna let them all know. We ain't gonna run, we ain't gonna hide. Try to take us down, you are gonna rise every time. We got the power. We got the power. Get down. Let's start a revolution. Stand up all together now. So that was our launch tour, and the goal of this project was collect as many dreams and intentions of all of the people that we met, not only on the road, but online. During that journey, we collected over 1,000 dreams and intentions. And the idea behind Seed Evolution is to not only collect these dreams, but also plant them into the soil. So there's a few components of our project, which is collecting the dreams, connecting with people, and then also projecting them onto public spaces. We're living in a post-COVID world, and we need to start adapting the way that we're creating all of these experiences for people. And the best way to do it is by projecting these dreams onto these facades of public buildings. So let me just show you some of the examples of the work that we've done.
Make sure you check share your sound also when you go for this one, please.
Was the sound share for this one, or
you have to check the box share computer sound, or it comes through your speakers where it's different. If you check the box, it's louder for us.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little button that also says optimize for best video quality, which is nice.
Thanks so much. And yes, so let me just share this with you all. Thanks for the patience.
So inspiring, Angela.
Thank you. And if you go to our YouTube page, you're gonna be able to see a lot of videos. For example, that was
talking over the
the first part of our project was to collect as many dreams as we could and project them onto the facades. And now we're in the second part of our project, which is how can we plant these seeds into the soil. So the second part of seed evolution is that we want to create public art seed gardens. The idea is that we want people to go to public spaces and be able to touch the soil and be able to learn about food resiliency, food sovereignty in an interactive, embodied way. Because we can talk a lot about food sovereignty and we can talk about all of these concepts, but until people don't actually experience them, it's really hard for them to click. I live in New York City, and many people in New York probably don't know where their carrots come from or that they grow under the soil. And I think that in order for us to reconnect with nature, we need to relearn and actually know where things come from. So this is the public art component of the project that we hope to launch in different cities around the world, where we can have these gardens. And there's also a component which is indigenous resilience. I'm originally from Colombia, and I've been working with indigenous communities for over 6 years. I fundraised over $100,000 and brought solar power, water filters, and just really work with communities to build their resiliency. Why? Because indigenous communities take care of most of the biodiversity that's left in our world. And as we all know, we are living in a climate emergency, and indigenous communities hold the keys for the climate solutions that we need. So part of the project is to plant the seeds, the dreams that people share with us in these cities through the public art part of the project into the soil and work with grassroots communities to plant these seeds. That way, indigenous communities have more food resiliency and food sovereignty, and then they're able to continue tending for the land that helps us contain and keep some climate stability on 2021. So that's another part of seed evolution. Right now, I'm here in Peru. I'm in the Sacred Valley. And next week, we're actually going to be jumpstarting the project by planting 200 seeds on Tuesday, which is really exciting because the idea is to just, have a closed loop. It's a pretty win-win scenario. We reawaken hope and inspire people to dream again and reconnect with their original dreams or intentions or prayers. Then we have that thought, that seed, that dream, and we have an indigenous person taking care of that dream and tending for it. So it's a closed loop project where everyone wins. Another portion of seed evolution.
So we can have it full screened?
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you. I want to make sure everybody could see it on the live stream. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. Yes. So I was saying the indigenous resilience portion is very important because indigenous resilience equals climate stability for all of us. So we help them, they help us, everyone wins. Now, the goals of our project is to inspire. We want to inspire as many people to think about food security. We want to activate public spaces in a safe way and give communities the tools for them to reimagine, to think of solutions for the climate crisis in a creative way. We want to continue educating people into the emergent solutions in their own communities and how they can create change, and most importantly, connect with their own dreams. And then the fourth portion of our project is the pioneering future. We would like to educate people about decentralization, create partnerships with blockchain companies, and teach people about futuristic technologies that can help us. And I just want to show you an example of a community leader that we met in Miami. He was incredible. He taught us so much. We went to the Green Heaven community, and he's a self-taught farmer. I just want to make sure that you all can see this.
We are here at a beautiful garden. A group of dedicated individuals have dedicated their lives to create food security alternatives with people that really need it the most.
You moved to this neighborhood 3 years ago from Buckminster?
No, I don't live in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you don't have to live in a neighborhood to get back to a neighborhood. I live on planet. Therefore, the earth is my walking ground. That's my home. Earth, not this neighborhood.
Being in this garden here in this neighborhood represents to me community coming together.
If you stop the video, there you go. And now you have to just restart and then reshare the sound.
Thank you so much. Apologies about that, everyone. I have so many videos on this computer because we had just so many amazing people that I want to share with you. But if you go to seedevolution.org or go to our YouTube channel, you're going to be able to see them. Let me just show you this one, which is the Green Heaven project in Miami. We decided to skip doing any sort of things around inauguration, and we thought, what are the actual solutions that people should be focusing on in our nation? And we found it right here.
How that started, like.
We are here at this beautiful community garden that a group of dedicated individuals have dedicated their lives to create food security alternatives with people that really need it the most.
You moved to this neighborhood 3 years ago from Buckminster?
No, I don't live in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you don't have to live in the neighborhood to get back to a neighborhood. I live on planet Earth. Therefore, the Earth is my walking ground. That's my home. Earth, not this neighborhood.
Being in this garden, in this neighborhood in Miami, represents to me community coming together to prioritize green space and the well-being, not just mentally, but it also represents food sovereignty.
I'm here. I've been here for 1.5 years, and basically, yeah, we just grow stuff and give everything back to the community for free. We don't charge anybody nothing. We don't do any yellow markets, none of that craziness. Because in this area, it's considered a food desert. It's basically black and brown communities that do not have sufficient food in it. Instead of complaining about that issue, you just build your own, you know, and call it a day. Become more self-sufficient instead of relying on a system that don't really care about.
So here we can see an example of community organizers that we want to continue empowering and showcasing in our platform. People like Dave at the Green Haven Project are a great example of the future of the invisible voices that need to be seen in our nation. And again, Seed Evolution is a closed loop project where we want to help people dream again, give them the microphone, collect their dreams, plant their seeds, grow trees, and help indigenous communities. Right now, we have a goal of planting 2,000 trees here in South America, 1,000 trees in the Sacred Valley, 1,000 trees in Colombia with the indigenous of the Arahuaco community in La Sierra Nevada. And we are seeking funding, help. We're seeking collaborators, any sort of partnerships of aligned allies will help us continue building this platform. And that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions?
Wow. Reach out. I'd love to collaborate and help support your work. This is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience with all of the tech. If you all go to our YouTube page, you can see what we've done. And on Tuesday, we will be planting 200 trees. So what we're doing is that we're asking people that might have a special thought, a special prayer, a special intention that they would like to see into this new age of Aquarius. We will be doing it in a really special ceremonial way. We're asking people to send us donations via Venmo or our GoFundMe campaign. We have a fiscal sponsor, the Barrett Foundation. So all of the donations are tax deductible. And again, if there's anyone out there that's interested in seed, food sovereignty, public art, or just want to find ways to collaborate, please reach out to me at angela@seedevolution.org or find me on Instagram or Clubhouse, and let's let's plant some trees and grow some dreams. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Wow, 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 Angela, you are so on it in the most incredible way. And I so look forward to collaborating with you and supporting this epic project. And seeds this is one of my paintings that's here with me, and I paint lots of seeds. I have for many years. And this tribe of artists, I can see, you know, our vision that what brings us here to the train is a very similar vision of also wanting to plant seeds through images and then to support the actual seeds going in the grounds. You know, it's all, you know, so however we can weave our art and our support, painting murals, auctioning paintings, supporting drawing the vision into images to help inspire people to get involved. Because it's really about getting the hands in the earth, right? So
absolutely, but not so much on the soil as much as also inside of the soul. Right now, when the times are so dark and uncertain, it's so easy to just lose hope. And it's so important to remind humanity of their ingenuity, of the fire that's inside of all of us, and also to connect with the idea of long-term thinking. You know, when I plant a seed today, I might not see the tree in this lifetime, but I am doing this for 7 generations forward, for the children of my grandchildren. So I think in our society, we have forgotten, we've gotten so accustomed to this instant gratification, instant swipe this, swipe that we think everything is going to be being born in a day. But in reality, great things take time. And in this climate emergency, we need to act, and we need to act right now. And the faster we can plant these trees, the more we can support these indigenous communities. And the more we continue to support these indigenous communities, the more we're gonna be able to enjoy and live in this beautiful earth. You know, we are living in heaven, we are in it. So let's work together. And thank you so much again for this beautiful event and for having me.
Thank you, Angela. That's amazing.
Amazing, Angela. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you and all the work that you're doing, and for coming to join us on this beautiful day that we have had together on the train and in Suppiah and in New York City and in the other incredible Zoom full of ceremony and all these wild presentations from the collaboratory. And thank you to all of the other wonderful content that has happened on the Vision Train. Thank you. It's been an amazing day, and it's going to keep going. We're not done yet. Haha. We are going to wrap the live stream in just a moment. So I just wanted to play the reel of gratitude as I do. And yeah, curious if Amanda and Nico would like to share any closing words as we wrap this first portion of this session.
Well, it's been powerful. What a powerful last bit. It just is accelerating. And I feel this, I'm going to offer a little workshop after this on the train. Going to get into some drawing and listening to music and channeling our dreams and visions into creation together. And yeah, so we're going to keep going, and then we're going to keep dancing too later in the evening. And there's worlds to explore. Anybody out there that wants to still come jam with us, please do.
Yeah, so a reminder for those who are in the live stream, you're still in time to buy tickets. You can go to, let me show you so you see. You can go to withpresence.co and click on the invisible visible, and you can still buy some tickets. You can also, there's a way to buy, to get them for free if you cannot afford it. And if you can, please support the artists that have been bringing their incredible art. And this will also give you access to the entire virtual worlds that we build, so you can continue exploring them for a few days on, and also will give you access to what we have left today, which is this wonderful workshop, and also these incredible music session that we have coming up from DJ Dakini. If you don't know her, she's absolutely mesmerizing and will just make you shake your booties.
And also a few more presentations. Yay! Of some of our artists from the Design Science Studio just after this.
So on that note, it is my pleasure to introduce